Welcome to the relay. Tonight we're filming our first episode, and I have to say I'm just ecstatic to be here with John and Vance and Graham. These are guys that about a year ago we sat down after a really hard swim meet in absolute fatigue and thought it'd be pretty amazing to share what has been working for us with other men and anybody who wants to listen. And so I hope that you enjoy this podcast. It's a journey of self-reflection. It's a journey of sharing what's worked for us, and it's a journey of challenging ourselves to be better than we can be individually, collectively. And that's what the relay really stands for. The relay is encouraging each other to be their best selves, because guess what? When these guys swim faster, I win, and vice versa. So welcome to the relay. Hope you enjoy it.
I'm really excited, and I'm really welcoming it and looking forward to where it's taking me.
It's hard to feel more vulnerable than walking around a deck in a Speedo. You know,
there's a lot of people that give advice, but I don't want to give advice. I want to show people what I've done and who are you taking advice from and who am I giving advice to.
And I think that is amazing because, to be blunt, I don't know if I've had that before.
Yeah, my name is John, and I work in the field of marketing. I met these guys on that first swim meet. I came to swim with the swim practice with the team, and really liked it. Like I hadn't been swimming in about 20 years. I grew up swimming competitively and swam for UBC for a year, and then put everything kind of on pause. And I really found value in being a part of the relay, being a part of the team, and just reflecting about where I'm at now and refining and rekindling that love I had for swimming and sharing that with like-minded people. It's amazing how similar swimmers are when you're, wearing nothing but a Speedo in the pool. It's pretty fun. So I've had a really great opportunity getting to, know each and every one of you guys and had a really fun time swimming and training and, getting a good sweat on in the pool. So it's been fun.
Well, I guess it's me. My name's Tom. I'm grateful to try and figure out middle aging, and I have to say I found a tremendous amount of youthfulness in doing hard but not harmful things. And I can tell you, when I went back to swimming, Graham and Vance, they said, "Why don't you come try out master swimming?" And I said, "Sure." And I was grateful to get some support from home to do it. And I can tell you there was a number of times I thought I was going to quit, but I stuck with it, and it's been really enjoyable. And I've been finding a lot of camaraderie and fulfillment in doing something that challenges myself. And I think what this is for me is also investing in myself, but also investing in others, because we're in this together. And I think that's something pretty special, and I've really enjoyed it. So thank you.
That's me next. My name is Vance. I'm a biologist by trade. I was a swimmer back in Newfoundland many, many years ago. It was a big part of my life back then, and I loved it. And I walked away from the sport when I was about 18 years old. I moved to BC. Life presented its challenges. I moved forward. My wife and I, anchored ourselves in BC. We had kids. 20, 30 years went by, and then I got my kids back into swimming. And the reason I put them in swimming is mainly because deep down I understood the sport, loved the sport, and as a parent I felt I could add value to my kids because I knew what they were getting into and I knew how important it was to me. So that led to me meeting these guys and getting back into the pool, which for me was a huge challenge because I walked away from it. I thought I didn't like it anymore, and I got back into it, and I rekindled a spark that I forgot was there, and that led me to meeting Graham and Tom because they had their kids in swimming for I guess the same reason, because they understood the sport and put their kids in it, and then randomly continued on during COVID and started swimming and met John swimming in the pool. I noticed someone swimming really well and it's the same speed. And I said, "Hey man, you like swimming and you're a good swimmer." And got him to connect here. And then we got into the same team and started to connect, built a relay, went for beers after a meet. And here we are. And I couldn't be happier because, I got back into something I forgot I loved. And this is not the culmination of it. This is where we've come, and I'm excited to where we're going to go.
Well put.
Oh, thank you.
I'm Graham. I'm also a swimmer. I think that's the thread that ties us together somehow. I swam through my youth, elementary school, through high school, varsity, through my undergrad, through varsity, and then gave it up after, that would have been 12 or 13 years of swimming, maybe more. I should do the math. Gave it up, but always loved it. It was always sort of deep down there. It wasn't until I got my son back into swimming, I say got him back in, but introduced him to swimming. And while he was swimming, sort of met Vance at the pool as well, while his kids were swimming. And then we unfortunately challenged each other to join a master's club. And I think, but for those kind of moments where you sort of meet and connect on those levels. And then fortunately we followed through with that, started swimming, I think 2-3 months after that in September. Mm-hmm. And then, we brought on these other guys during COVID and just have had a blast at it. I would steal Vance's words about almost filling that void. But I've quite enjoyed it, and it just gives me something to do, and I think that's something to do after those long days at work. We can get back, do laps, clear our heads, push ourselves and achieve things. And I think that's what's brought us here. Yep.
I don't think we would have got here if we didn't connect and have the support to work through, whether it was an uncomfortable situation or why we didn't get back in swimming, life got busy, but it took the support of somebody else to propel us into making that decision. And then that led to one thing, that led to another thing. Those 4 things are us in a relay, going for a provincial record, hopefully, at some point.
Did we not break it last year, but the other team also
Look
broke
out,
it more?
BC.
Didn't we break it last year, but the other team broke it by more?
Yeah.
Well, no, we were. Did we? No, we were we were second or so off, but the other team, we were a second away from it, but they broke it by 2 seconds. However, they had a 25-year-old.
Yeah.
And he was their ringer. So, but yeah.
I think there's sort of the tie that binds, which is swimming, but I think we were all yearning for some other connection as well. Maybe not as well, but just swimming has sort of given us an avenue to kind of connect on a different level. Swimming is our excuse, I think, at this point, but here we are, taking the time away from our own families to sort of sit here and chat to ourselves and whoever's wanting to tune in. So I think swimming's an avenue. It's a lane, if you will. And I'm liking that it's sort of opened up these opportunities, and we're having this discussion the same as we had discussions after our meets or after our races. We'd go for beers and sit around a table and talk just about whatever came to us. And I think that is amazing because, to be blunt, I don't know if I've had that before. Like, of course, with my wife and my close family, but just sort of being able to kind of extend that out. And in all honesty, I don't know if I knew you guys really deeply more than the last 2-3 years. Never met you before.
No. Yeah. I think like Graham touched on, we were all kind of like-minded, but I know for myself, I was busy with life and lost touch with the sport of swimming, but swimming was something that was important to me. And then I found a bunch of people a bunch of guys that were, I guess, looking for the same thing, but there was more beyond that. And that, we connected on many other levels, and it gives an avenue to talk about other things. And I think that was important and something we were missing. And we've had some great conversations, and that makes us a better team and good buddies. And like Graham said, we're all in our 40s. well, we're mostly all in our 40s. The fast guy over here is hitting 40, but we've lived a lot of life and had a lot of experiences in the absence of each other, and connected because of this, and now are building on that and talking about other things and developing a stronger bond.
For me, when I think about kind of middle aging, and when Vance talks about us being in our 40s, I'm closer to 50 than 40. And I remember when I was growing up thinking 50's old, and I'm feeling better today than I've ever felt before.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we wanted to share is like, if changing the inputs can change the outputs. And one of the things that struck me after our meet that was really profound was COVID, life, middle aging. There was a better way. And when I reflected on the swimming that we do, it was really kind of a metaphor for better living. Because if you get the basics right, if you get your stroke right, you swim faster with less effort. And I was thinking, what happens when you start to do friendship better? Because we were doing that better. And then everything got better. And if you're having a tough day, you could relate. And all of a sudden you went from being in a place where you were feeling kind of not great to feeling really good again, or better than you were before. And that hadn't happened until we started hanging out, doing something that was simultaneously feeding our efforts to improve and then transform our bodies too, to be something that is healthier than I probably was throughout my entire 20s and 30s and 40s, because I'm almost 50 now. So yeah, it's pretty cool. And that's something that I think when I started talking with people about what I was doing and the investment of really only about 3.5 hours a week into something that transformed the rest of my week, other people seem interested in hearing about it, which is why I think we're here. So over to you, John.
Very well put. For me, it's very similar to what has been said. I think there's a lot of value in just the conversations, and conversations in a safe environment. It's hard to feel more vulnerable than walking around a deck in a Speedo. It's one of those vulnerable states. And when you share that moment with other people in similar vulnerable states, physically and metaphorically, it's transformative. And I think even just the conversations that we have on the deck, shooting the shit before practice, having a beer after a workout or after a swim meet, it just lets you unwind in a safe space where, as a male, it's not always like that. You're either the strong, courageous person who's supposed to be, all-knowing and powerful and all this stuff, and it's often a macho situation where you can't let your guard down, you can't be vulnerable. So what I found value in from day one, getting back in the pool, through beers after that first swim meet, after that first relay, the joy that we all had, or I witnessed, was we had a great time cheering each other on. We were tired as all hell, and we were really, really just giving it our all and having fun, and it was great. And after that, we were able to have a really good conversation and share that momentum of the positive feeling of that swim meet. And that's where the additional value is for me. I completely agree. Physically, it's a great workout. It's the thing that I look forward to at the end of my Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and not just the workout, but the car ride, everything, chatting on deck, chatting after deck, and it's a lot of fun. So I value and appreciate the fact that each of you are here in person and show up every day to practice or swim meets and make that interaction a lot more meaningful than if I was doing it on my own, or if any of us were doing it on our own. So it's a really great environment to be vulnerable and share, and not from a selfish way, but I feel like if we can share that with anybody else, or if anybody else finds value in that by listening to what we're saying, then that's the positivity that I think that the relay would bring to a podcast type environment.
Thanks. Yeah. So the question is, using the relay or swimming as a metaphor to do life better. And one of the things that became really clear to me is that there's a lot of problems in society. I think there always has been. And, particularly during COVID for me, I was experiencing kind of this, well, what do you do about it? And if it's, I remember reading this book and I can't remember what the line was. I think it was Tony Robbins, but he said, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And what could I do to make a contribution that would immediately impact my state and ideally be responsible and improve the state of others? And what I realized was very quickly that by just changing focus and actually just changing perspective and saying, we're all actually in this together. And I think COVID really drove that home because, here we are, one or two people in a continent, a world away, gets this virus that literally affects the entire planet. So if someone didn't think we were interconnected as a species of humans before then, well, I think I have enough data on that now to say I think we are. And so when you start thinking about who are the people around you that you can encourage and how does that help you, the relay became this metaphor for like the more I invest in others, the more I cheer others on. To kind of John's point from earlier, like male culture has become hard. It's not safe to share how you're feeling because you'll get cut down. It's not safe to encourage someone because you could get made fun of. And so I found myself withdrawing. And so for me, with these guys in the swimming environment, not only was I doing the opposite, but the results were actually manifesting these wonderful benefits that resulted in fitness and joy and encouragement. So that's how it kind of played out. And it carried over to work too, because I've been doing what I've been doing for a long time. And I found that I was having a renewed sense of purpose at work. And if it was only just the fact that I could do a better job competing with myself, that was enough. And I found that through this change in perspective. So thank you.
Yeah. I guess you've both touched on a couple of things that I don't know if it's relates, but it's got me on a train of thought now. And that's basically, I think with you with the COVID situation, I couldn't have got back into swimming at a better time because it literally was like 6 months later that the world shut down. And swimming must have had that much of an anchor to me that and connecting with at that time it was Graham and we found a way to continue to swim. And it was we went to the lake and then Anders and a few other people on our team were there to support us and help motivate each other. And you touched on it as well. That's the point I want to make with you. It's like wasn't just swimming. We carpooled to swimming together. And we started a WhatsApp group to say, like, when are you going? Are we going? Oh, I can't go. Okay, we'll go next time. Or, and we just it obviously has it's something that is a common ground for all of us, but it was a springboard to where we are now, and I couldn't be more thankful that and lucky that it happened when it did. I find myself fortunate that I've always tried to surround myself with strong male figures, but not in the toxic masculinity sense, but more in the it's okay to emotionally let go and share your feelings and I don't know what the connection, the swimming is obviously connection, but there must be something more that gravitated me to you guys, and I couldn't be more thankful.
I'm finding swimming now has helped me sort of refocus those hard days at work into sort of a bit better of a direction, like that journey. I think when we were all swimming at different levels, it was always we were striving for something. You're training to go to a meet, you're training to go to a championship, you're training to go to something. So into work now, I think with swimming, it's kind of put that back in focus. So much, getting inundated with so many things that we can kind of pick that out. At least I can now. And it's helped a lot, helped kind of calm the chaos. I think, I don't know if I've used the analogy with you guys before, but like a backstroke race, you jump in the water, get that whistle like before a race goes. My favorite part when I was swimming, swimming backstroke anyway, that whistle, jumping in the water, you hear all the noise, that 2 or 3 seconds you're underwater and it's just complete calm and you can kind of sort of focus yourself, then you pop up, get ready to go. So I'm finding that, it's kind of getting back to those basics.
It's amazing how, but the value we get out of 3 hours a week is unbelievable. And even missing it now, you can't. I feel like I'm missing out on something. But it's literally, if you over the whole week, it's 3 hours, and those 3 hours are more valuable sometimes than 5 days.
From a swimming perspective, it's even less than that. Like we're swimming laps. We're not talking to one another.
That's true. Good point. We're not.
Stopping on the end between sets and then maybe chat for 30 seconds. Yeah. It's the getting there, the carpooling there, the talking, the stretching, the everything else. And then I put a stopwatch on it. Like when we're swimming, we're talking to each other for 4 or 5 minutes.
Yeah. That's the beauty about swimming. Swimming is it's an individual sport and a team sport. You spend a lot of, like you said, a lot of time not talking to anybody, and we literally run sets. Like you swim 4 lengths of the pool on 1 minute and 30 seconds, and you literally have 10 seconds to catch your breath, and you might crack a joke or whatever it is, but it is not a lot of time. So it even more value to that small amount of time. So it is where this is leading. The carpools and the after swimming parties and the swim meets, going out on Tom's boat, and wherever else we're going to go. It's amazing. So that even makes it more remarkable to me.
I'll just share maybe at the risk of just being boring, share kind of the story that kind of catapulted me into this group of awesome guys. It was during the pandemic, and similar to what has already been said, it was one of those things that it was a staple for me before, and so I went to gravitate towards swimming again and hopped in the pool and swam and swam and swam. And sometimes you get matched during COVID with 3 people that have vastly different skill sets or speed, and it's difficult to swim because it's like running single file with somebody who's walking and somebody who's sprinting and someone who's walking a little bit faster and waving their arms side to side. Like it's just really challenging to swim in an environment that's not always, conducive to a swimmer's speed, I guess. And so I was swimming several times on my own and then bumped into, Vance and looked across the lane and saw this guy who was swimming same pace and, length after length, we'd be side by side. And normally there's a gap one way or another, and couldn't shake him. I was trying to keep up with him. And at the end of the practice, I asked him, "Hey, do you swim?" He's like, "Yeah." "Do you swim?" "Yeah, sure I do." "Did you swim before?" "Yeah." We should swim together again. And so as, a guy, just going back to some more awkward stuff, and I promise I'm not going to bring up only awkward things, but
that's the point.
At the risk of that, it was for me, it was awkward to approach another guy who was, seemingly just similar to me and ask him "Hey man, can I get your number and we can come back and swim together and coordinate some stuff?" It's just as an adult dude, it's tough. It's weird.
Yeah.
And I remember coming home and I was like, I came home to my wife and I was like, "Hey, you'll never guess, I made my first post-pandemic friend." I was so excited. It was awesome. And then Vance introduced me to Graham. Graham came to some practice with us and set us up with the workouts and helped schedule a little bit more routine to the swim. And we swam for a bunch of times and then kind of left at the end of the pandemic after these bookings kind of, washed away, with the sentiment that we would get back together and swim at the group that we're with. And it turned out that group was full. And so I was so crushed because I had just, made this first friend and 2 friends after this pandemic and now can't even swim with them. And so I put in a couple months at different pool, and then eventually jumped into the group and met Tom, and it was just like, it was awesome to actually like be able to, you know, work out with everybody and swim in a similar skill set and just have a lot of fun. So yeah, anyways, I just want to share that and say I appreciate that I wasn't made fun of when I asked for to exchange numbers, or that I was encouraged to, you know, keep trying to get into the group and, you know, name dropping. Oh, I know Graham and I know Vance. Is there any chance I can get into that group? And then yeah, having met Tom, it's just yeah, awesome relay group. So
Yeah.
thanks for including me, and yeah, really appreciate it.
I still remember the day when you just walked, because it was like, it was, I don't know, it was October or something, because you
Yeah.
came late
Yeah.
in last year, and you walked in, I was like, man, you made it.
No announcement whatsoever. Just roll in. It's like, yes.